Hello, y'all. It's Miss Ho. I am homesick again. Here is your 4.7 notes video. So first up, here's your 4.7 quick write. You need to write a quadratic function that has been transformed right 5 and up 2. At this point, if you guys could please pause the video, and then if you need to look back at your 4.6 notes, that is going to be the best place to get some help with that. Okay, once everyone has had a chance to work on their quick write, you guys can unpause the video. And let's get started with notes. So this is the opposite of what we did in 4.6. I know some of us were gone for 4.6 because it was the cold day on Friday for odd classes. So if you were gone with 4.6, do today's stuff and then go back and get caught up. First thing that you need to know on here is that we have our 3 parent functions. We've got our linear function, our quadratic, and our absolute value. Today we are going to only be writing functions for our quadratic and our absolute value. And then we have the same table that we had from 4.6. So let's fill out this table together. When we add inside a function, that moved us to the left. When we subtracted inside of a function, that moved us to the right. When we added outside of a function, that moved us up. And when we subtracted outside of a function, that moved us down. So what we're doing today is we are going to already have a graph made, and we're going to look at the graph, and we're going to write the function. Whereas in 4.6, we gave you the function, you decided what the transformations were going to be, and then you graphed it. So looking down here, if I look at my first graph here on the left, I can see that that is my U-shaped graph. My U-shaped graph is my quadratic, so that means my parent function is x squared. Then I'm going to look and see where it moved. So I'm going to compare it to 0, 0, and it has moved to the left 5. So on my transformation line, I'm going to write L5. And then I can use my table to work backwards and say, well, if I want my function to have moved left 5, that means I needed to have added inside. So I'm going to write my function in parentheses. I'm going to add that 5 inside. I'm going to close parentheses and then put my squared on. Okay. Next one, this is the V-shaped graph. So our V-shaped graph, we know, is the absolute value graph. We can look at this graph and see that it has been moved straight up. So since it's been moved up, we're going to write down up 3. So it's moved straight up 3. Sorry about all of this popping up. Okay. So to move a graph up, we need to add outside. So our function will be f of x equals the absolute value of x. Close your absolute value signs, and then put your plus 3 after. So the first 2 that we've seen just moved left or right, or up or down. The next 2 that we have on the back of this note sheet are going to be moving left or right and up or down. So let's move to those. Okay, so last 2 examples. We're going to look at the shape. So this one on the left, that is a V shape, so it is the absolute value. Oh, where did my pen go? There it is. Absolute value of x. And then for your first transformation, you always want to do your left or right transformation. And for your second transformation, you always want to do your up or down. I'm going to move that actually out of the way a little bit because it's going to be in my way. That is just going to make your life way easier to always do left or right first and up or down first, because then when you're writing your function from left to right, that's the order you'll write your transformations in. So starting at 0, 0, it looks like I moved to the left 3. So left 3 is my first transformation, and then I moved straight up 2. So you always want to do your left or right first, and then your up or down second. Then when I go write my function, my left 3, I need to add inside for that. So it's going to be absolute value of x plus 3 inside my absolute value. And then my up 2, I need to add 2 outside the absolute value. Okay, very last one, and this is the last example for the whole unit, since this is the last lesson of the unit. Our parent function on this one is x squared, so that is our quadratic. And then it looks like we went to the right and then down. Oh, and drew a weird diagonal there. So we went to the right and then down. So we went right 3, and then it looks like we went down 5. You always want to pay attention to this middle point here. That's what we're counting, is from here to here. Here. Okay. So to go right 3, I need to subtract inside. So inside my function, I'm going to minus 3 inside. And then I will put my squared after. And then I will, to go down 5, I will subtract 5 outside. Okay. This video will be posted on the agenda in case you missed anything, and the quick write will also be on the agenda. So if you need to go back on your own device and rewatch this, you are more than welcome to. And I think that's about it. I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow or Thursday for my even classes.